Hey everybody, hope you're doing okay. I'm giving this a shot. We'll see how it goes. I will spare you the image of my face through the whole thing, but I thought it might be nice to see a face that you knew once upon a time. So here we are. This week's assignments are going to have to do with drawing interior space, utilizing the spaces that you're in all the time now, since you are probably at home a lot like I am. So with that, this session is interior space drawings, drawing inside the house. Now, that doesn't mean that you couldn't choose another space that you wanted to draw, say a garage, which could be frankly overwhelming, but also very interesting. Okay, so that being said, let's keep going. So why are we doing this? If you have noticed, most of what you've been working on has focused on drawing objects in a place, say on the platform, etc., whether when we were in class or still lives at home. And the goal is that you will start to depict the whole scene, the whole environment around, surrounding whatever your subject is. So the things that you will need for this assignment is to have a basic understanding of linear perspective, both maybe single and two-point perspective as we described in class or we practice in class. I've included a link to a couple of videos on two-point perspective for those who were not there. I don't expect you to make a technical looking drawing with perfect two-point perspective with this, but I wanted you to have an idea of the concept and what your drawing should basically look like, sort of a butterfly shape if you think about the two walls coming toward you. So apply the skills you've been working on this semester and obviously earlier of describing forms through shading, using line and shadow. And with furniture, think about them as big masses and not so much as familiar objects. If you can forget what it is and just draw what you see, that'll give you some better results. And in the drawings that I've included in this PowerPoint presentation and included in the assignment file, you'll see that light is really what's depicted in these, whether it's a bright light coming through windows or a subtle sheen off of a wood floor. And don't overlook that stuff, because that's really what creates the illusion of space. I'm going to start by showing you some artwork from artists that I saw their actual work in person in Asheville, North Carolina this summer. The first one is Tammy Bell Do, and she teaches drawing at University of North Carolina. This is not the drawing of hers that I saw. It's in the next slide, but this is a great example of an interior drawing that really gives the viewer a sense of light and space. This is the drawing I saw at the Blue Spiral Gallery that I had to make a record of. It's not only beautifully done, but I always find it very interesting when artists who are working right now are depicting things from now. And her nose ring really was the thing for me that made me think this was a really amazing drawing, because so many times, especially with drawing and painting, we think about old masterworks, and we might even tend to want to depict things as if they're from another time. But the time we're living in right now is worthy of the same kind of attention that was paid to those old masterworks. Now, this is a small drawing, and I've zoomed in on it a bit, so her face isn't even 13 by 13, but if you look on her website, and I did provide a link in the folder, you can see all the various ones. And in those portraits she focused on certain aspects of the sitter's face, not the whole thing here, not the whole face. Anyway, she was an amazing artist, and then I thought of her, and she has all these great interior drawings too. There's just a couple things I want to point out about this drawing. Clearly you can see that it's a masterful drawing with its sense of light. But note that she doesn't go into 100% detail on all the objects that are in this space. I'm kind of interpreting that as sort of a garage thing, and that's mostly because I can see like this cinder block. But notice that all this area over here is mostly suggested with a few details here and there. This is another artist whose work I saw in North Carolina, Peter Van Dyke, and this is not the artwork that I saw in person. That is also in the next slide, but you can see here that he is quite the draftsman, and it's really just attention to detail going on here. My favorite thing about this drawing, I think, is the subtle shading in the floor and the surfaces of the stainless steel appliances. This is a sort of scene we would all recognize as just a common kitchen, but it's very beautifully done. And this is one of Peter Van Dyke's drawing. It's sort of an interior, it's under a porch, and I want you obviously to do a more fleshed out drawing than this, but I thought it was interesting to show sort of a starting version of what becomes a fully fleshed out image. And here's an older image, obviously from 1832. In the next slide, I provide an image that has been desaturated so that you can see simply what the values are doing to convey the sense of space, light, and detail. I assume that most of you don't live in a chapel or some kind of cathedral, though that is possible. So I doubt your drawings are going to look like this, but anyway. And here is the desaturated version, and you can see what is going on. Now the silhouette people in here kind of throw off the idea of saying, what is the darkest part of the drawing? Because they are the darkest part of the drawing. But if you can sort of eliminate them in your mind's eye and to see maybe the darkest parts are really the side of the foremost column and then the one that's just beyond it in the distance. Here's another older image, and there's quite a bit of color in this image, as you'll realize after you see the next slide. Simple times. It's nice to have the internet and new amenities. And there's the desaturated drawing. As you look back and forth between these two, do you notice anything? I kind of think about the darkest parts of this drawing are the upper beam along the ceiling and maybe some parts of that stick pile. Another charming scene of yore. Anytime there's a dog in a scene, I'm already happier about it. You'll see again the desaturated version shows a little more, and the figures become much more prominent with the color removed, their dark jackets being sort of the darkest parts of this drawing. And here's a basic shape. This is sort of the approach. When I say draw a corner of the room, this is what I'm talking about, as opposed to just drawing like as if you're looking straight against a flat wall. Point your view toward the corner of the room. And taking photos as you go, it's great to be able to take photos as you go, but the goal of this class is not to perfectly recreate one two-dimensional image into another, which essentially is what recreating a photo does. It's to train your eye and your hand. Train your eyes to see more nuance, to measure proportions better, and simply recreating photos will not do that for you. Initially, I had said resist the temptation, but do not just take photographs of your subject and recreate the photographs. Because what is the point of drawing a picture that's already in existence? Taking photos is a wonderful tool. I use them as sort of a back and forth. But if you want to improve as a draftsperson, do the work of using your eyes, and using your hand to record what your eye is seeing. That's really what any drawing class is about, any observational drawing class is about. So use your, take pictures with your phone, that's fine, but use them as comparison tools only. Your goal is to train your eyes and your hands with this. And I know that it's not going to be perfect because we're not machines. So with that, I'm sure everyone's telling you, wash your hands, wash your hands. Yes, we're doing that. And I'm touching my face, touching my face. Anyway, we'll get through this. I kind of like making these little videos, so hopefully they're helpful. And if you have any questions about the assignment, let me know. I've tried to be as thorough as possible without being overwhelming. So have a good one.